I got Tank. I got Tank winning that fight. He just got to be on defense in the earlier round.
Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach are going to fight in March 2025 at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. This fight has made some people very excited and some people very disappointed. There has been a lot of trash talking on social media, and fans, fighters, and even coaches have joined in.
DC and Baltimore guys don't like each other. You know what I mean? So it was a DC guy that I got into it with.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So one of the older guys named Dana, he basically like told me chill out, like nah.
Right.
DC and Baltimore don't fuck with each other.
Yeah, they don't. One thing about it, the city.
A lot of angry words have been said between Tank and Roach, but Frank Martin's message to Roach was what everyone was talking about. Martin, a top contender himself, told Roach not to fight Gervonta Davis because he doesn't think Roach has what it takes to beat the winner who has never lost.
Ooh.
Frank Martin made his message very clear. I don't think he has what it takes to put Tank down, but everyone is always confident in themselves before you actually get in the ring with him. Roach will lose again. In the heated social media exchanges between Davis and Roach, this message has raised tension as the fight approaches. Gervonta Davis has been the best lightweight boxer for a long time. His power, speed, and ability to deliver brutal knockouts have won him the reputation of being one of the most dangerous fighters in boxing today. ESPN even puts him as the 8th best boxer in the world in terms of power, which shows how good he is at the sport. Davis has the ability to handpick opponents due to his standing with the WBA, which has given him the privilege to defend his lightweight title against fighters from the super featherweight division. Many fans see this as a way for Davis to avoid tougher competition in his own division, allowing him to keep his undefeated record while facing what they perceive as lesser opponents.
$1 million worth of game, where in your mind did you say, I'm going to fuck Tank up?
He in a spot that I want. You know what I
You gonna
mean?
finish
Like,
him?
yeah, you gonna find out. The sparring, look, this
He
is the
didn't
thing.
touch me up. You was scared to get in the ring.
Where your man's at?
Lamont Roach moving up in weight for this fight is seen by some as another example of Davis picking a weaker opponent to achieve an easy win. However, Tank's track record speaks for itself. His last fight against Frank Martin in June showed his incredible speed and knockout power. In that fight, Davis overwhelmed Martin in the middle rounds before finishing him with a crushing knockout, solidifying his place as one of the most feared fighters in the sport. It's no wonder that Frank Martin himself, having felt the force of Davis personally, would warn Roach not to take the fight lightly.
Do you feel like Tank has been receiving unfair criticism because of Lamont not being as known of a fighter as his past opponent?
Yeah, but it's not Tank's fault. You know, the guys with the so-called names, they turn Tank down, they price themselves out. And because people don't know Lamont, he's not as popular, they think he can't fight, but Lamont can fight. And he got a hell of a pedigree, you know, 7-time national champion, and he's tough.
Lamont Roach starts this fight with a record of 25 and 10 knockouts, and he's been on an impressive 6-fight winning streak since his only career loss to Jamel Herring in 2019. Roach's most notable win came in November last year, when he defeated Hector Garcia by a split decision to claim a world title. While Roach is not a common name like Davis, his recent success in the ring shows that he's not someone to be underestimated. Roach's confidence has been evident in the lead-up to the fight, especially in his social media exchanges with Davis.
That's my guy. Left-hander, dynamite, power, explosive, you know what I'm saying? Good boxing ability. He's in training camp right now. He's putting that work in, and you know, I mean,
Roach made it clear that he doesn't see himself as just another opponent for Davis. You must think I'm one of those usual fighters you fought some LOL. Cut it out, me see. Roach fired back at Davis. He thinks that he's different from the typical fighters that Davis has faced, and he's ready to prove it in the ring. But Davis, ever confident, was quick to respond, telling Roach to be careful with his words. I advise you not to talk so much. It can be bad for you. You know that already, though, Davis warned. The conversation was classic Davis, confident, calm, and ready to back up his words in the ring.
He was slow. I don't know how long.
Despite Roach's winning run and his belief that he can give Davis a tough fight, many analysts and fans remain skeptical. While Roach has shown improvement in his recent fights, it's difficult for most to see how he can pose a real threat to someone as powerful and skilled as Gervonta Davis. Boxing is a sport full of surprises, and Roach is determined to be the underdog who shocks the world. Frank Martin's warning to Roach carries weight, not just because Martin is a respected fighter, but because he has direct experience facing Davis. Martin was once a rising star touted as a possible future champion, but his fight against Davis changed everything.
Ooh.
Martin was thoroughly outclassed by Davis, who used his speed and power to overwhelm him before delivering a knockout that left no question about who the superior fighter was. However, in the middle of all this, Lamont Roach has made it clear that he's not intimidated by the task of facing Tank despite Davis's dominant record and fearsome reputation. In fact, Roach is going into this fight with some good amount of confidence. His message is simple: I'm not Frank Martin. Roach thinks that he brings a different set of skills and experience to the table, and he's determined to go one step further than Frank Martin, dethroning the undefeated lightweight champion.
There's a certain limit that you hit, right? But then there's that next criteria or that next top tier, and if you don't match that, you know, you never gonna know how great you really are. And I've done that a few amount of times already. I jumped out that box and done that. So I have yet to see Gervonta come out of that box yet. You know what I'm saying? They're about to put him with a guy at 130 pounds. Whether he's a champion or not, you're getting a guy lighter than you to come up and weight to make you look good again. You know what I'm saying?
One of the key distinctions Roach has stressed is his experience compared to Frank Martin's. While Martin fell short against Davis, Roach believes that his own background and skill set make him a far tougher opponent. Respectfully, I'm not Frank. Martin Roach stated in an interview with Cigar Talk that Martin only started boxing at age 15, a relatively late start in the sport, and lacked the amount of experience necessary to handle someone as seasoned as Gervonta Davis. In comparison, Roach feels that his long career in the sport gives him an edge that Martin simply didn't have. He didn't have the experience to be in there with someone as skilled and as experienced as Tank, Roach said of Martin Roach. On the other hand, he thinks he matches Davis in almost every aspect of the game. I've got the same skill level as Tank. I've got the same experience as Tank. I've got the skills. I've got the ability. I've damn sure got the IQ.
They're both champions, but in this case, Garcia is the challenger.
This certainty isn't just bravado. Roach's career shows more lengthy and tested track record compared to Martin Roach, who fights at 130 pounds but will be moving up to 135 pounds for this bout. He currently holds the WBA's super featherweight belt. He has also been in the ring with Tank twice before during practice sessions, though he lost both times by decision. Those losses, however, haven't lessened Roach's belief in his ability to finally get the better of Davis as he continues to improve with each fight.
Hey man, I watched a few of your amateur fights, right? I didn't know that you and Tank fought many years ago as well, man. And I saw that, man. It was a close fight, man. It was a JO 2011.
Yeah.
I was battling back and forth, brother.
Yeah.
See, these boys look like pros as amateurs, man.
Stylistically, Frank Martin and Lamont Roach approach their fights differently, and Roach thinks this is where he has an advantage. Frank Martin is known for his speed and quick reflexes, and while he holds some knockout power, his approach is often more about precision and movement. He's a skilled fighter, but against Davis he was outgunned as Tank's power overtook him in the middle rounds, leading to an 8th round knockout.
Get back on the dust. Our game plan has had to keep him busy. Oh, there's a point. Martin doing the veteran thing. Davis missing. Martin covered up well. Oh. He needs to be a little bit more.
Oh, left uppercut. That's it.
Goes Mountain.
Big trouble here. There's the uppercut, and there's
Roach, on the other hand, sees himself as a more versatile fighter. While he might not be known for his knockout power with only 10 knockouts and his 25 wins. Roach is a cerebral boxer with a high ring IQ. He counts on his boxing intelligence and ability to make adjustments mid-fight. His defense is sharp, And he's known for being durable, as evidenced by the fact that he's never been knocked down or badly hurt in any of his professional fights. In a way, Roach's style is more about longevity and outsmarting his opponents rather than overwhelming them.
You do it. This is the blueprint. You know, you work your plan and you plan your work. And he's been doing that. He's gotten better since the loss. Sure, he's gotten bigger, he's gotten stronger. You know, so hats off to him. They put themselves in the position for a payday. And that's what this is all about. It's called prize fighting.
Yeah.
In terms of defense, Roach feels confident that he can take Davis's power. What makes people think I'm going to end up like those guys who didn't have the experience and skill Roach asked for? I think I've got a lovely chin. I got hit on my chin a couple of times. Nobody ever dropped me. Nobody has ever seen me hurt in a fight. While Roach acknowledges that Davis's power is different from anything he's faced, he remains confident that his chin can withstand the punishment. This resilience is something that Roach believes sets him apart from fighters like Martin, who was ultimately unable to withstand Davis's onslaught, have sparred twice before, and Davis came out on top both times, winning by decision in each session. Sparring sessions, of course, don't tell the whole story of a fight, but they do offer a glimpse into the dynamics between the two fighters. Davis, known for his knockout power, wasn't able to stop Roach in sparring, which gives Roach confidence that he can handle what Tank brings to the table. However, sparring is different from a full-fledged professional fight. Davis has grown even more powerful and skilled since those sparring sessions, becoming one of the most feared knockout artists in the sport with 28 knockouts and 30 wins. Tank's power is no longer a question, it's a sure thing. Despite Roach's confidence in his ability to take a punch, there's no denying that Davis's power has been a deciding factor in almost every fight he's had. So while Roach might feel reassured by the fact that he's faced Davis before in sparring, the reality is that the stakes are much higher this time. This isn't just practice, it's a title fight, and Davis will be looking to end it in brutal fashion, as he's done so many times before.
So can you confirm or deny Lamont Roach would be the backup?
No, Lamont Roach and Tank got a history together, an amateur history where they went back and forth as amateurs. You know what I'm saying? It's not.
There was something familiar about Roach's confidence going into this fight. We've seen it before, most recently with Frank Martin. Like Roach, Martin felt he could be the one to hand Davis his first loss. He had the skills, the speed, and the athleticism to make it a competitive fight. And like Roach, Martin was sure that he could withstand Tank's power. But we all know how that ended. Martin fought bravely, but once Davis hit his power shots, the fight was over. Roach, however, insists that he's not Frank Martin. He thinks he brings more experience and a higher ring IQ to the table, which will allow him to handle Davis's power better than Martin did. "I've got the same experience as Tank," Roach said. "I've got the skills, I've got the ability. I've damn sure got the IQ." But for many boxing fans, this feels like deja vu. We've heard similar words from past opponents, and none of them have been able to solve the puzzle that is Gervonta Davis.
None of these people are outside with me training. None of these people are in the gym with me training. None of these people can do fucking half the thing that I can do. None of these people can achieve half of the things that I don't achieve. I'm in the position where I am for a reason. So all that stuff is just outside noise, and sometimes it, you know what I'm saying, it's training camp, so sometimes I get bored. I'm going to respond every once in a while. But at the end of the day, it is what.
Gervonta Davis, this fight seems like another chance to showcase his dominance with his perfect record. Davis has been steamrolling through his opponents, and many think that Roach will be just another name on that list. Davis's ability to handpick his opponents due to his WBA privileges has drawn some criticism, with fans accusing him of avoiding tougher competition in the lightweight class. Roach, who is moving up in weight for this fight, is seen by some as another easy opponent for Davis to win another victory. But Roach refuses to see himself as just another stepping stone for Davis. He's determined to pull off the upset and show that he's a legitimate threat in the lightweight division. Whether or not Roach can back up his words remains to be seen. But one thing is for sure, he's not wanting in confidence. What makes the fight even more interesting is the continued online rivalry. The online rivalry between Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach Jr. has escalated beyond their upcoming March fight, getting steam on social media as the two boxers continue to trade verbal jabs.
What do you think of the announcement of the Gervonta Davis-Roach fight?
I think that, it's had a lot of criticism, but it's not a bad fight. Lamont Roach is a world champion. He's smaller than Gervonta Davis. The problem is not many people are aware of who he is or his ability. But he can fight. I don't think it's a huge fight, but not.
It all began about a week ago when Roach attempted to troll Tank on X, insinuating that Davis would need to spar with heavier opponents to be ready for their fight. Roach's attempt to get under Tank's skin didn't go as planned, as Davis swiftly responded, stating that all his talking would be done in the ring. It was a sharp comeback, leaving Roach to stew over the response. That initial exchange highlighted the brewing tension between the two, as Roach's confidence seemed to echo the same bold claims made by Frank Martin before his own bout with Davis. Martin, who Gervonta dismantled in 8 rounds, had also boasted about being ready for Davis, but the end result proved otherwise. Davis's response to Roach hinted at a similar fate for Washington, D.C.-based boxer, suggesting that Roach's confidence might be misplaced.
Oh, that's the hook.
For a week, things stayed relatively quiet. However, Roach wasn't done with his attempts to ruffle Davis's feathers. This time, Roach chose to bring his rivalry with Tank into the world of the NFL, timing his comments ahead of the much-anticipated game between the Baltimore Ravens, Davis's home team, and the Washington Commanders, Roach's team. What started as some light-hearted sports banter turned into yet another intense argument between the two boxers. The online spat reignited when Roach's crowd of Washington Commanders reacted to a Ravens fan who had taken a shot at both Roach and his hometown team.
Is that what it is?
The fan, clearly siding with Davis and Baltimore, tweeted, "We are whipping DC for the rest of the year. Ravens today, Tank can march." The tweet suggested that just as the Ravens would defeat the Commanders, Tank Davis would dominate Roach in their fight. Roach, not one to back down quickly, responded, "This shit is different over here," trying to defend both his team and his chances against Davis. But as expected, Tank saw an opening and pounced with a quick, sharp retort. Davis wrote back, "You asking for it?" Tank's reaction sent a clear message. The fight was already brewing, and Roach's taunts were only fueling the fire. The conversation left Roach at a loss for words, as his only reply was the confused emoji. Roach's troubles didn't stop with the Twitter spat that same weekend. His Washington Commanders faced off against the Baltimore Ravens in NFL Week 6. The fight, just like in their Twitter battle, Roach came up short once again, as the Commanders lost 30-23 to the Ravens. Baltimore's attack, led by Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, dominated the game, leaving Washington struggling to keep up with the Ravens. Victory marked their 4th straight win, making them one of the AFC's top contenders alongside the Kansas City Chiefs.
Man, it's tough, but we try to ignore the noise. He do for the most part. He handled it very well, but we locked in, man. You know what I'm saying? Lamont just classy guy, man. But he a rattlesnake too, man. People don't know he mean, man. So you come at him, he gonna bark back sometimes, and people don't be ready for it when he come back.
We seeing it. For Roach, the Commanders' loss was salt in the wound, as his attempts to link his personal rivalry with Davis to the NFL game had backfired. Not only was he on the losing side of the Twitter exchange, but his hometown team had also come up short on the sports field. The loss seemed to underscore the task Roach faces in his March fight against Davis. Just as his team had been outmatched by the Ravens, Roach might be outclassed in the fight against Tank despite these online exchanges and Roach's recent missteps. The upcoming fight between Davis and Roach is gaining steam among boxing fans. When the fight was first announced, many fans voiced disappointment, feeling that Roach wasn't on Tank's level. But with the recent social media drama and Roach's persistent attempts to challenge Davis, the fight has begun to generate more talk. The tension between the two fighters, both in and out of the ring, is drawing attention and building a narrative that could lead to an exciting showdown in March.
Best fighting the best. In the case of Gervonta Tank Davis, where he's given Lamont Roach a great opportunity. Remember, he gave Hector Luis Garcia opportunity to come up and fight him. We haven't seen him since, because that money good. Payday. We're talking payday. And Tank is now giving another brother. He just gave Frank Martin an opportunity.
Roach has been vocal about how he plans to give Davis a much tougher fight than Frank Martin did. He's emphasized that his experience, skill level, and boxing IQ are on par with Davis. In interviews, Roach has pointed out that unlike Martin, who only started boxing at age 15, he has a deep well of experience to draw from. Roach has also faced Davis twice before in amateur bouts, losing both times, but going the distance. However, the parallels between Roach and Martin are hard to ignore. Just as Frank Martin was confident going into his fight against Davis, Roach is brimming with self-assurance, but the results of Davis's fight against Martin, where Tank's superior power and precision overwhelmed the Indiana-born fighter, serve as a warning sign for Roach.
You might, who knows, maybe you might get a call from Tank or something. We don't win.
Yeah, Tank's my guy too, man. I appreciate him shouting me out after the win. And you know what's crazy? After he beat Hector,
Frank Martin, who had claimed he could match Davis's skills, was eventually exposed by Tank's relentless style. Davis, known for his ability to break down opponents with devastating power, slowly dismantled Martin, knocking him out in the 8th round. Roach, like Martin, is a talented and skilled fighter, but it remains to be seen if his confidence is enough to withstand Tank's lethal mix of speed, power, and ring IQ. Roach's boast that he's not Frank Martin may be true, but he meets many of the same challenges that Martin did. Gervonta Davis has a well-documented history of success with 28 knockouts in 30 professional fights. He's proven time and again that even highly skilled fighters can't handle his pressure and power. So how do you think this plays out? Share your ideas below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more updates.